Hello everybody and welcome. I'll probably leave the music on today, if it's not too loud. We are doing data collection for screen, like frame counting for every character level 1, so I'm not going to get any ults today. But I'm basically going to be checking to see what wind up and cast times are, as well as get all the M1s in and all the fires, everything in for every character. Like I said, I'm not going to get to level 5, we're just going to load in, we're going to do all of the animations that we need to do. Alt F4 out, pick the next character, and move on with our lives. And we're doing all PvP today, and maybe a little bit of PvE, unless I really feel like going for it, then we might do all of PvE as well. It's not hard, but yeah, I kind of do want to do both of them. It might be really fun. So, let's go ahead and pop over to our scene. And I'm going to keep track of the character that we're on. Our Reborn launcher. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and we're gonna set that up for this. We're going to be using both the Scuff launcher and Guac's most recent update to launcher. One's going to be for PvE and one's going to be for PvP. So let's just start by doing the PvPs ones, or we can alternate back and forth if I feel like it. We'll see. It might get too complicated at some point. I have changed the way that my stream is outputting, and the recording that I'm doing for streams to make this more reliable, specifically for frame counting for this information gathering. So, I've already tested it a little bit. Hopefully everything goes well. I normally don't output this high of quality just because my internet's really crappy. Right now it looks like it's handling it just fine, which makes me really happy. But it's like the game might be off. I'll fix the game here before we get too far into anything. I don't know why why did this specifically move? I fixed this earlier, so that kind of weirds me out. Make sure I grab the character first and foremost. Wait, we're not in these menus any longer than we need to be. That's going to be the biggest time saver. Alright, but that should fix. If that is functioning, I'll have to pay attention and see when the game relaunches if that freaks that out, if that's why it keeps... Yeah. Like I said, we're going to leave the music on because we're going to be in and out of matches very, very quick. I'd like to turn the music down a little bit further. Let me try that, actually. I think we can do that if we... something like... it's a little bit quieter. Not gonna bother with skins or anything. That summer skin in Montana, squirt gun, versus the character mastery Montana, black skin. All right, here you go. Fight your way through waves of minions. So this is just her M1, and I'm holding down the button to make sure that it is constant, so I know that there's no breaks. I'm clicking this as fast as possible. I'll take as many of these as I can. And not moving means it'll be a little bit easier to see what's going on. Fight for your lives in 3, 2, 1. Fight. A lot of these self-heal takes a little bit longer than, based on what I've checked so far, than otherwise. I should also have started with Q. So that's a single cast, that's one click. The way I'll do it for other skills is one click, see how long it takes to get to that pose. That's just the pose that she's in. Other click to place, and then I'll see the cast time. The one's an animation time, like for prep, and the other is going to be a cast time. And we'll do a few more. Just to make sure that we've got everything that we need. I'll probably do at least 3 of each skill cast. I think that that's a reasonable amount. 3 is usually plenty to be able to check everything. I need to do quick melees as well. We haven't done that yet. I may need to rebind the quick melee really quickly, because it's on my middle mouse, and that's kind of it's squishy. So I think if I change that to that'll be much easier for me to spam. I'm gonna have to reset that every time. That is much easier for me to spam to make sure we're getting the fastest time possible. There we go. I think that's everything. M1, M2, Alt, Q, and E should be everything. Oh, and if she had a different sprint quick melee, this would let me see it, but I don't think she does. I can also, one of these days I'm gonna just test the speeds of characters. I know that Lowlines has the numbers, but to see what's actually in game, in terms of compared to what's actually. Yeah, that's it for that. We will now swap over to EE. I already have it set up. Algorithm Milani launch. I at least need to do Lonnie's PvE because I need to compare some of her numbers. Some of her numbers came back for me differently for like cast times, animation times, and I just want to verify that that was either an error or if they are actually different.
UPR's got a big problem. A rogue Magnus AI has seized control of one of their old Bliss settlements, and they've called us to help clear it out.
So, the quality of this video is going to be a bit higher, and that may be something going forward. But this one's mostly just to make sure that everything is being captured appropriately, because this frame counting is like one of the more precise things that we can do, and I just want to make sure we do it well. I think this is Battle School music.
Crap. Swim away from me.
I wouldn't mind actually turning off tournament mode for this, just so I can load in and then load back out. Save time. Alright.
Let's flush that bastard Magnus out of his hole.
I already checked this and I was pretty sure it's the same, but again, just gonna verify everything. We can only do against self in this right now until we get peer-to-peer, because we can't have bots on PvE. So, this will be about as good as that's gonna get. I need to rebind. Quick mail. Possible. So much faster than my middle mouse click. This is probably what I'm going to set it to whenever we get customized settings, like this stick. The halved cooldowns are really nice for this. This is going to be some of the most boring video, but it's going to give me the most information that I was just using ancillary information to pull out. I was doing frame counts on as I did stuff. I think we did 3 of that, so that's Alt F4. The next character, so next up is going to be Ambra. I'm going to select her just to remind myself. And then I'm going to pop up in Shimano.
Wise decision.
We could scroll through skins just because we can. I do like this skin on Ambra. The white and ice blue. I typically like the yellow and purple skins, but this one is way too much yellow for my taste.
Incursion. Fight your way through waves of minions and defeat the enemy's
This is
sentries.
gonna be difficult to do.
Escort
I
minions
think
to
I just need
enemy
to...
sentries to strip away their shields and leave them vulnerable.
I don't know
to
if there's...
attack.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to do... Like, this one seems instantaneous,
Destroy the
basically. I don't
enemy's
think I can
final
do that one.
sector to achieve victory.
It always weirds me out that her alt fire is her, like, melee.
3,
I have to remember that
1,
every time I play her.
go.
I accidentally left-click for melee.
Minion manufactory is initialized. Prepare for assault. Our minions are moving
I
toward
didn't
the
wait long
objective.
enough on that. This is an instant cast, though.
You.
That one's easy enough to do.
Gather round, children.
Get our quick... Her quick melee is a lot slower than Allies, it feels like. Feels like it has a longer cooldown, maybe? That's some of the stuff that I want to make sure that I include. Let's also do a sprint quick melee just to verify it's the same.
Our minions are getting crushed. Defend them.
Do one more. And this one is basically impossible, but I think this one's basically instantaneous. Alright. Let's pop Ambra into algorithm. I'm gonna wait a second, make sure that the Steam catches up with itself and it doesn't think it's running 2 instances of the game. So I'll wait a second before I launch it. We're already 3/60th of the way there. Obi
The
music I love.
UPR's got a big problem. A rogue Magnus AI has seized control of one of their old Bliss settlements, and they've called us to help clear it out.
Nothing we can't handle. Apropos of nothing, did the UPR mention a name?
Yeah, actually. Isaac.
Oh, well then.
Solus is so
We're all going
small,
to die.
and the planets are so
Lovely.
close to it.
Bold choice.
Did you know Ambra's lore says that she got sustained at like 20?
Oh,
She looks like 50. I have no idea if the lore is unreliable narrator Or... Wow, that time it didn't even load my icon.
Nova's sensors pinpoint the Magnus somewhere in the facility.
Same thing with
Take a
this.
look around.
Yes, but be careful. We've hunted 1 or 2 rogue AIs in our time, and none of them went quietly.
I wonder if it's the time it takes for that effect to fire up. Like that there's a chance for her to make noise, not necessarily that she will make a noise on
Know
melee.
your place.
Yeah, her quick melee definitely feels slower than Alani's. But I think it does a lot of damage if I remember right. That should be it for Ambra. Up is gonna be Atticus. When we get to Whiskey, I wanted to check his numbers again now that we have PvP numbers, and knowing that they match the ones that are in the numbers on the pull-up screen in PvE don't match, and I noticed that they were giving the PvP numbers and I wanted to see if Whiskey's numbers matched what was last on live. Because that was the way I determined that the numbers that we were getting were not what was live. And they also didn't match what was on. These are like the level 2 skins. Those are like the level 7 skins. It's probably like 2, 3, 2, 4, 6. I'm guessing 8. I thought that was like 14. I don't remember what these... I'd have to look at the Land's website and remember. Atticus does have a different sprinting animation, which I did not try in... Could be okay. Something we can come back to.
Incursion.
Nothing I can
Fight
do
your
against
way
my
through waves
friendlies.
of minions and defeat the enemy's sentries.
So this head bob,
Minions to
this
enemy sentries
camera
to
movement
strip
is
away
entirely
their
just from
shields and leave them
punching.
vulnerable to
It has
attack.
nothing to do with
Destroy the enemy's final
me
sentry
moving
to
anything,
achieve
so
victory.
like, if I'd let go, it just stops moving. So that's pretty cool.
Lighting this up in
Why is that not
3,
charging?
2, 1. Go.
Is it because the match hasn't started yet? Or is that a UI bug in this?
Minion manufacturers initiative.
It worked in PvE the other day. We'll check
A wave of
this.
minions has been
This might be something worth noting. Let me leave this room to see if that charge meter is working outside of this room. See if it's just the launch room. No, that UI... Oh no, it's the left one. It's the other one's charges. They both have the same icon. I was looking at the right meter, y'all. A dummy. That should be enough for that. He's got his quick melee. Got his little flick, which is pretty quick. And then his sprint quick melee, which does have a cooldown. I was gonna say, so he doesn't continue sprinting. Yeah, once you do that, you have to re-click the shift button. That was too
Our minions
fast.
are getting crushed. Defend them.
That was too fast. It's like half a second. Get that. Prime. Basically instantaneous. Launch. I'm pretty sure that depends on how he feels like flying. That's not bad. You know what I'm gonna have to do with this? I'm gonna have to probably... I'll probably start punching just to show how long that takes. So let's do a long pounce just to show the additional time. So like this has no roof here, I can pounce over there. So you can see how the cast time takes longer just because it's a longer distance. And then punching. Activate E. Do a similar thing the other way.
Hired muscle at this location. Sentry under fire. Allies are engaged with Thrall mercenaries.
Well, beans, I think we're probably good. I think I can do one more pounce just to verify. Hadronic.
We've engaged a Thrall mercenary camp.
Kind of want to do a pounce up against a wall and just have them go way up in the air and come back down. I love that even if you're punching with your left arm, it automatically swaps, like it completely animation cancels. So like if you pressed your E right as you finish a punch, like right as the damage counter comes off, you'll still get the E off after the damage has happened. And a kiss. Probably didn't wait long enough, we'll see. Game breaks, I blame me going to.
UPR's got a big problem. A rogue Magnus AI has seized control of one of their old Bliss settlements, and they've called us to help clear it out.
Phew, nothing we can't handle. Apropos of nothing, did the UPR mention a name?
There are more recorded lines for those, by the way. I think I've mentioned. I'd like to be able to reactivate those, so it gives us the other intros to the matches. Also, one squawk makes it so that we can have the quick cast settings. I will do a separate video with quick cast on to see if anything is better that way, like completely different.
Get moving. Find Isaac.
Oh, one thing I should have also done was just saying right hook cancel. So like if you just tap the button, how fast it jabs. So like that's like the minimum animation time right there. Versus pull back, that's that animation, and then release, that's a separate animation. I won't want to do the... I could possibly do the... It's just a short one. Because he doesn't jump up unless he, like, interferes with something.
You deserve this fight.
Like, that would be like a pseudo animation cancel. I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna hold this for a little longer. Yeah, it doesn't affect when it runs out. Like, it doesn't affect your animation at all when it ends. We just need... melee? I have to make sure not to do it on any of those drop downs. I want to influence. About as fast as you can do it. As I say, we could try to show off the tech really quick. You slide off of a ledge. Or I can just get stuck on that. A little bit. You'll maintain momentum off a ledge if you do it right. That was a little bit better. As I say, I wanna also try. Let's go here. Around. Trying to narrow down the exact time frame when it's down. That was a pretty good one. Pretty long. Alright, Atticus should be done. Let's do a quick Beatrix.
Any deed, any price.
On controller, you can hold down, you know, just a little bit so they're not spinning quite so fast. It's a lot easier to show off the skins with control. Also not a fan of the yellow purple on Beatrix. Too much yellow. Targeting friends.
Fight your way through waves of minions and defeat the enemy's sentries. Escort minions to enemy sentries to strip away their shields and leave them vulnerable to attack. Destroy the enemy's final sentry to achieve victory. Opening bay doors in...
Alright, that should be enough of that, so we can do self.
1. Begin. Minion manufacture is initialized. Prepare for assault. Friendly
Wanted to make
minions
sure that the
deployed.
attack boost doesn't affect anything.
No time for a waiver.
Still holding down the button, letting it do the fastest gun it will do. Is it gonna take a while? If you hold down the button, she will fire before
Our minions are getting crushed.
that goes off.
Defend
That's
them.
good to know. Still gonna hold down the button because it's gonna give me the time needed, but... Alright, we're just missing what? Quick melee? You know what also I want to do? So... there is an amount of time. If you just click it, it will cancel. You don't have to commit to like quick scoping. I'm very curious. Because it looks like it's firing before. I don't think you can quick scope with her. Maybe you can. I might try quick scoping with damage after this, really. Let's do quick melee first.
Mercenaries are available.
She does have an augment to her quick melee that we can check whenever we do other stuff later. I'm not gonna do it today. Same thing with the quick scoping. That's something I'll check later. Great, hit tricks.
UPR's got a big problem. A rogue Magnus AI has seized control of one of their old Bliss settlements, and they've called us to help clear it out.
Nothing we can't handle.
I know it would probably be faster if I did all PvE together, but I'm enjoying doing the characters together, and it'll be easier on video edit to do them this way. It'll be much.
Any deed, any price.
I actually like that demon bear skin on her. That actually looks... I like this demon bear skin. I'm pretty sure that's the demon bear skin. It might be... there's a possibility that's a Toby skin, but I'm pretty sure that's a demon bear skin.
Brilliant.
The blue and black. It's like a purple and black. I like that.
Hey guys, welcome to Aquaman. I've already detected you, but just to liven things up, I'm gonna pretend like I had no idea when you get here, okay? I'm gonna act so surprised. See you soon.
Cool, okay. Let's find that psycho, shall we?
Let's see what this does.
Dr. Hopkins putting in work. This will also let you see on some characters that their recoil stacks up, where most characters the recoil doesn't stack. I think Reyna, her recoil stacks. Don't remember for sure. Alright. Doing a scope. Same thing. Fires a bullet before it scopes in. Hold both buttons down. Makes sense, because her scope isn't instantaneous. And it wants to fire immediately. I think I let go a little bit too. Yeah. Oh, I didn't do a sprint quick melee. I'll have to do that here. Pretty sure hers doesn't change, but it's good to test. Wait, I think I tested everything on her. Beatrix is done. Benedict is next.
I've got this, man.
Cyber skin. I think it's that Toby one there. It's the one that was on. Hey, we got a black and white skin team for the most part. We almost have Skinergy aside from Mike. We're into like taupe.
Incursion.
Demon
Fight
bear.
your way through waves of minions and defeat the enemy's sentries.
Alright, this one's gonna be fun.
Escort minions to enemy sentries to strip away their shields and leave them vulnerable to attack.
Because you can fire after one immediately.
Destroy the enemy's final sentry to achieve victory. It's the beginning of the end in 3, 2, 1. Begin. Minion fabrication initiated.
Didn't quite wait long enough. You can,
A wave of minions has been deployed.
I didn't wait long enough there either. You can fire, as far as I'm aware, on the first frame of the 5 appearing in your magazine. I didn't wait long enough again. You have to wait for his claw to retract. Once it starts heading back, then you're in the clear. I did too long on that one. Didn't wait long enough. Oh, that one was actually really good. That one actually might have been like 2 frames. It's pretty decent. I'd like to catch it with just 1 frame just to confirm that you can fire on first frame. But I don't think I'm good enough for that. I don't have anything that I can use to test it out. Right click is glide, so there's like... I don't think... So if I hold glide, it doesn't start until after you go down. And I don't think there's an activation time for it. I think it's just as long as you're going down and you're holding down the button, it's an instant activation.
Barking a scrub!
Oh, I got a kitty visiting me. Quiet. Hi, kitty. And I'll try it with glide as well. Just to see.
Mercenaries are available.
We'll do a sprinting quick melee after this round. Slide?
Enemies have engaged with Thrall mercenaries.
Sprinting quick melee?
Slice and dice. Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be affected by it. I think
Our
that's
enemies
everything
are
for
attacking a
Benedict,
mercenary camp.
since he basically doesn't have a right click. Not sure if we're gonna get through the entire playlist or not before we finish this. I'll see.
The UPR's got a big problem. A rogue Magnus AI has seized.
Hey, it was already going.
I've got this handled.
The computer said, "Alright, I'll hold on to it. I'll remember it. It's fine." I like the McDonald's skin on. Pretty decent.
You suck! You suck! You suck! You suck!
I like the bleached beak.
My sensors pinpoint the rogue Magnus somewhere inside the mining colony.
Get moving. Find Isaac.
Didn't wait long enough. Didn't wait long enough again. For me, it's all about, like, learning the timing. Waited too long on that one for sure. So his claw was already at the bottom of the screen. That one was pretty decent. That was pretty good too. Don't let it reload, just so. Done. The roof. Alright, cool. The roof's high enough, it doesn't matter. Really longer than a second, but. I'm also curious what happens if you're holding down left click when you Q, because it should fire. I don't know if you have to prime it or not. I'll try that at the end. Hello, Zelador. Welcome. Doing frame counts. Alright, I'm gonna hold left click and Q. Nope, yeah, you have to re click on it to get it to I'll have to wait for that one to come on quick cast then, and then we can measure how long the delay is for that one. That one's a lot harder to test, like... Oh, you can fire- I've heard about that tech before. The fact that you can fire 2 Hawkeye rockets if you're quick. Alright, I gotta try that again. That one fired a normal rocket afterwards. I want to try that again. That one fired a normal rocket again. I will review that footage, but it looked like 2 Hawkeye rockets on that first attempt. I wonder if that's like a frame perfect, like... Yeah, that one's really slow. Like, if you have to get your second click in, like... It is nice, though, that you can do that, like super fast. If you could get basically 2 rockets off. Because I think his Hawkeye does similar damage to his regular rockets. That's all we need from Benedict. Boulder's gonna be next. I would love to try a bunch of tech with a lot of characters. But, like, if you know tech, report it to the Battle School channel in the Discord. I'll make sure to make note of it on my sheet, my Google Docs. There'll be a comment on the character somewhere. And, we'll eventually get to testing it.
Come, children! Many heads to split!
I am checking, I've upped my capture stuff so that I'm doing everything at 60, because some stuff for some reason was doing it at 30, like I was down doing my stream down to 30. And I was using the video off of Twitch, so like if I had any internet problems, I was losing frames that way. So I'm just doing a native recording and then streaming this at the same time, doing frame counts for all of the level 1 abilities of every character. PvE and PvP. Doing PvP first and then PvP. So it includes cooldowns, it includes
Incursion.
like attack
Fight
setup
your way through
time,
waves of minions and leave them to
animations,
enemy
all that sort of stuff.
Escort minions to enemy sentries to strip away their shields and leave them vulnerable to attack. Destroy the enemy's final sentry to achieve
One thing I should have done was, so single attack, 2 attack,
ready yourselves for glory.
3 attack,
3,
and then the 4 is
2,
regular.
1.
Disgusting.
Fight.
His Q should be an instant cast. Yeah, that's an instant cast.
Initialized. Get
Or
ready.
what? His E is a 2-click
Our
cast.
minions are moving toward
Nope,
the
it's a
objective.
single cast. I wonder if I can hold that button down to verify. Let's set up our... Yeah, that was one of the first things I did was set up the Excel sheet on like my first attempt at getting data. Was just figuring out what data I wanted to collect and expanding it as I figure out the data exists. And I'm gonna try holding down E this time to see if it holds. Nope, it's always instant cast. Sprinting quick melee? It basically keeps his speed. I mean, he's already fast.
Allied minions have been decimated.
That doesn't make that much of a
Escort them to
difference.
their objectives.
If I don't reset the sprint, you can eventually see the speed difference, but if you're tapping the sprint button while you're hitting the quick melee button, it does not look that much slower.
Please collide with Boulder.
Rage increases his attack damage, right? So it also increases his melee swings. Pretty sure I did that on, but really quick. Oh yeah, and I forgot his unarmed swings are different too. Alright, axe is back. Let's do a with axe dash rage. Boulder, I hate how boulder. I'm holding the M1 button during the cast, by the way, so the lag after the dash into the M1 is entirely the cooldown of the skill. Like that pause right there, that's specifically the cooldown of the boulder dash. Which is also good to test. Same thing with that. Do an Xer and then do an M1.
Enemies are attacking a mercenary camp.
Can't get your X back. Gotta bounce. Alright, I think we've tested everything on Boulder. Let's go to single player. Boulder. Did our music stop? I think it stopped. It sure did. Not because it was over, just because YouTube wanted to make sure I was still alive, as it do.
Magnus AI has
Come, children. Many
Just
heads
too much to
split.
test on both. I actually kind of like this skin. He looks very normal. It's not intended to be that way, but just looks like a dude. How do you feel about gear balance in the game? Oh, it varies wildly depending on the gear. The vast majority of gear was made in a broad strokes approach. Like, they set up basically arrays for how the gear is defined. With some exceptions to that.
Look, it's Boulder's
And
backside.
the same way that you encounter problems with like normal game balance when you build characters that way, you get with the gear. So some gear is literally a self-nerf. Some of it is kind of like eh. And some of it is good. And some of it's really good. The gear didn't get balanced that much. It got balanced a little bit at the beginning of the game's life. But it didn't get touched a whole lot. Like, the legendary gear got balanced the most out of, like, instead of the broad sweeping changes to gear.
Meet Boulder's shield.
Oh, the other thing I didn't do was his pull-up. His defender. I'll have to do that eventually for PvP. It'll be empty box on my sheet until I redo it, but...
Present from Boulder.
Did that go through? It did. The hitboxes for these railings come down to like the middle, and then there's a gap to the floor. So the fact that I got it in that, like... Yeah, that one went through. Like, that would hit, like, right up top there. Let me aim for, like, the top third. Yeah. So funny. Really curious what their thought process on shield pen was. Maybe some characters had much more shield. So the LLC was supposed to, like, that was supposed to be their shtick. Was, like, they were supposed to be low health, but they had, instead of their health growing every level, their shield would grow. Elise still has a little bit of that left, and then like Shane has growing shield, we've talked about before, and it makes a lot of sense in a game like when you're fighting Elise, like if you were solo queuing against a Khalees, and it was like your team isn't, you know, drafted, you know, isn't picked well because you all did blind picks, to get the, like, to fight the Khalees, like, running Shield Pen is not a terrible way to combat him, especially if the other team doesn't have a healer to prevent the chip damage that you're doing to him if you can't get through his rifts in his shield. But, like, other than that very niche instance, which you'd have to figure out at the beginning of the match before the match started when you're selecting your gear, not great. It'd be really interesting if Gearbox ever made it so that you could actually do gear in levels, like in the actual... I think we're done with Boulder. Oh, I didn't do without X. I'll have to... It's gonna be hard to do in solo because he gets his axe back so fast. The rage bonus is so good. On his Let's do the rage on. Shane just has too much health for you to be chipping away anyway. Even without their shield growing. Okay, I think that's everything. Next up will be Caldari. Go ahead and slide our character slider down. I have to get some Caldi stuff. I haven't even touched Caldi on the damage numbers yet. I think it's better that shields aren't a big factor. You could imagine... Hang on. Screen's adjusting. Ooh. Okay, you think it's better that shields aren't a big factor? I could imagine the more asymmetry the characters have, the trickier it is to balance something. It is absolutely a lot trickier to balance out, for sure. That is, like, a serious factor in figuring out whether or not you want to balance something. Like, the more complexity you add, like, if, like, Gigantic has, like, front shields and back shields are separate things, which makes a lot of sense for, like, being hit from the back hurts more kind of thing. But that's something that is, like, balancing around that can be a bigger issue. And the shield thing absolutely can be a balance factor because the amount of shields in general are way easier to get back than health. Like, especially if you don't have a healer, you get your shields back no matter what. And then the other thing is that as long as you have shields active, you can't be crit. Like, it's literally impossible to be crit while your shields are up. So...
Incursion. Fight your way through
I love Caldarius. I love the noises. I love the floaty. If I had a controller, I could walk. If you do a slow movement on Caldarius, he actually walks instead of floating. One of my favorite things. Amber does too, I think.
The enemy's final sentry to achieve victory.
But yeah, so that's a huge, like, balance thing. Khalees was a lot tankier for a lot of the game's life, and then at some point late in the game's life, they were like, oops, Khalees has more health than we intended because, we forgot to nerf his health when we left his shield being big, so we're gonna nerf his health now. It didn't displace Khalees, he just got less tanky, but since most of his stuff is revolving around shields, it didn't do a whole lot. I love how fast this reloads. I think this is a single cast. And it goes so far. Love it. Stronger shields can enable no support comps, which would be cool. Another approach would be lifesteal, you guess. Yeah, if lifesteal is strong enough, like, that's better sustain than... So, we could talk about healing in games as a couple of different metrics, right? So, like, Miko is a very large amount of constant sustain, assuming he's running the
Enemy
beam
forces
on
are
you.
crushing our minions,
Like, that is a
escorting their
high
objectives.
amount of sustain, and because he can do it, there is no cooldown for his beam. The only counter to it is, like, wound, and that just reduces it. It doesn't stop it. You can't stop that from happening. It's just, it is something that you have to balance around, is the fact that you could just have a Miko healing everybody infinitely. And then factoring gear on top of that as to how much healing output he actually has. And then you have burst healing on characters like Reyna and Alani, who are... Reyna's on cooldown, so hers is entirely dependent on cooldown. And Alani's is partially cooldown and partially on skill and target, like engagement. Hers is like engagement based, right? With skill on top of that.
Thralls available for hire.
And let me stop moving and do our quick melee. Here's this tiny little stab that he does. I love how the sword comes in and out. It's so fast. You can see how it slows down his sprint speed, though. I also love watching him bring the gun up and down, because that's part of the sprint animation. It looks like it actually is part of the melee animation. Yeah, the melee animation does the dip instead of just the up and down. The sprint animation does the up and down. That's pretty funny. And then his double jump. I didn't do right click much, did I? And then you also have healing like Cleese, who is constant healing. Well, so you have different heals on him, right? So heal chair, which is basically just regen. It's so small. It's just constant regen. It's only within that specific area, so it's not applied to people permanently, like running regen gear or just being an Aldred. I think that's everything for Caldi. We did the Q, we did the E, we did the M1, we did the M2. Yeah, I think that's everything. And then you also have his shield healing, which again gets into weird stuff of anybody who's having their shields healed isn't getting crit. Assuming that they have shields to heal, because if it's an Eldred and they're not running max shield gear, they don't have a shield. Unless they're Kelvin, because he's weird. That's one of his mechanics. I still have a dream of one day doing a shield-based comp that includes like Kelvin, Cleese, Dandy, Shane, and I don't know who else would be the last one, maybe Reyna. Reyna doesn't benefit from shields, but she does, like... I don't think you'd want to do Reyna, so you already have a tank. You have some damage in Cleese, and I'd have to look at the comp on paper, because I can't imagine it in my brain well enough. I forget the characters as I think about them. Like, Dandy has fine damage, she doesn't have amazing range, but she does fine at range. We can still look at the characters. You could do a Phoebe. She has some stuff with her shield regenning. Like when her shield breaks, it resets like her teleport cooldown on a specific level, so like that could be interesting if you included her on that. The only other shield, I mean, you would probably want to run Ernest just because he can sit in the rifts and put out a lot of damage. And assuming Incursion and not Meltdown. This is all assuming a 5-man comp for Incursion. Just because it's easier to figure out comps for Incursion than it is for Meltdown. You tried to make it work with Cleese shield heal with Shane, Phoebe, and Isaac. Basically all characters that have max shield helixes. Biggest problem is just that the Cleese shield heal means that you'll miss damage if a teammate is blocking it.
Nova's sensors pinpoint the Magnus somewhere in the facility. Take a look around.
Yes, but be careful. We've hunted 1 or 2 rogue AIs in our time, and none of them went quietly. Or without an impressive body count.
I also love the animation, the firing, like the firing animation on the tip of the gun on Caldarius. I love the glow on everything. Looks really nice on this map particularly. Need to get to the edge since I know his dash is super far. It's way farther than if you have like 700 ping. Big shield pen would already be viable if it could work against physical shields like Boulders of Galileo's. You feel like that would be a huge change, right? Like, if you could shield pen a boulder down, because he can increase his shield health to 2,000, and it still has, like, the same recovery time. Like, if you could basically poke him to death, that would absolutely be viable. That would be way better. Oh, can I shoot during that? I want to find out. I want to find out, or if that cancels it. I'm very curious. Maybe I should do right-click instead. There's the right-click. I'm also going to try the M1 on it as well, so I'm very curious about that. Pretty instantaneous. Unlike Boulders, where he sits there for a second. Let me also try... Yeah, that one has a little bit of a cooldown on it. This just has a cooldown of when you land. It's not... Like, if I fell off a cliff, I wouldn't be able to get another jump out of it. Still no sprint for Kelly. Yeah. It's got, like, just the tiniest amount of bob. I think that's it for Keldy. Next up will be Dandy. Yeah. I would be interested in seeing how Shield Pen got used. So... So the interesting thing about Shield Pen, right? And one of the reasons why it sucks so much is because as long as it does work on things with shields, like regular shields, not or like electrical shields, we'll call them, to differentiate from the physical shields. Is that you could be chipping down the health, but then you're taking longer to get crits. If Shield Pen was no longer, like, you'd have to have like a different type of Shield Pen, because the Shield Pen you would want to fight like Boulder's shield, because of the amount of health he has. I mean, like Whiskey's ult, right? 100% Shield Pen. That's super useful. That's actually useful. That's a level 10 Helix for Whiskey. I need to actually select my character was D&D. And so, like, Whiskey, like, I think that instead of having it on gear, the way you run it is on, like, Helixes. And so, like, Whiskey is a really viable counterpick to Cleese in terms of as long as you think you can get to level 10. The problem is surviving the match until you get to level 10. Like, Mike's Shield Pen is like 65% on like half of his bullets, right? At like level 6 or something like that. And so it's not super useful. There's a really fine line, right? Between like a Rendy, like being the counter to Pendles, because Pendles existing around a Rendy or her pillars, which is such a wide area, is just a death knell for him, both because her damage is high enough to murder him accidentally, and also because her reveal works off of her pillars and her, and it's a fairly wide area. So, like,
them vulnerable.
Arendi's really strong against Pendles, and he's already a really niche pick.
Destroy the enemy's
So, like,
final
you have to
sentry
make sure
achieve
that there's not an
victory.
Arendi on the other team. It's why Pendles usually gets last picked.
Unleash hell in
A song
3,
to the death.
2, 1. Fight.
It's an interesting thought problem.
Minion fabrication.
I want to see what the,
Get
like,
ready.
wind-up time is.
A wave of minions is moving out.
Well, let me also do 1, 2. 1, 2. You can get it going pretty good without doing a combo if you do that. I always forget about her quick melee. Knowing everybody's range on their quick melee would actually be super useful. Like, if there was a way to, I'd have to wait until... Well, I could technically test it on things. I usually don't trust the range that I get, like... That's why I haven't done, like, move speed and sprint speed stuff, is because, like, the info we have on low lines is good enough. So I'd have to figure out how far, like, I'd figure a specific place, I would run along, like, that wall, and then I would measure the time and count the frames in between them to see if they're the same or not for different characters. Just to verify that low lines info is correct, that it actually plays in-game the way that it's supposed to. That is an instant cast. Let me get out a cloak, and then, I think that's just an attack boost, right? Yeah, it's just attack damage, it's not a speed boost, so I don't have to worry about that affecting anything. That is also a quick cast, no matter what. I'm gonna do the... hold down the M1 button to see how long it takes for those to fire off.
A sentry is under attack.
That should help with, figuring out the cooldown. Because, like, I think Boulder's cooldown on his Boulder Dash is really deceptive. It probably counts a lot slower than it actually is, because it looks like he returns to normal and he doesn't do anything for the longest time. So, like, having an M1 after that skill fire is super useful.
Power play. Enemy forces at 40% strength.
Dandy has a different, quick melee we have to test. She has her sprint dash, which you can at least see the cooldown on it. It takes forever, but at least there is a visual indicator, unlike Atticus. Atticus does not have a visual indicator, but his is a lot shorter. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, it just does the normal one. Do it off. Yeah.
Enemies have engaged a mercenary camp.
I think that's it for Dandy. So yeah, that would be really interesting to balance around. Figuring out, first of all, if you want those types of shield pen to be different, like if you want electrical shield pen versus physical shield pen. Like, they're both niche. I don't mind having a character have it built in as part of their kit, as like a this character counters this character's kind of thing. And then you just have to think to yourself when you're doing, like, drafting, because normally you don't draft, you just quick pick it, you don't pay attention to what the other team's picking. During drafting, you could say, alright, well, so-and-so is a counter to so-and-so, but do we want to run that with our comp, and do we want to run it just to counter that one character? When we can handle, say, the rest of their comp just fine. Do we think that we can handle that character with who we have, even if we don't have a direct counter to them? Like, I could see if there was a character, and I wouldn't be surprised about this if this would have been something that Gearbox would have done if they had done more character DLCs in like, the long run, is that they had a character that could have had that built into their base kit, like, at level 1. It's not a Helix choice, it's just part of their kit, and that's their shtick. Like, they cannot get crits, like Benedict, right? Benedict already can't get crits. Do you want to run Shield Pen on him? What about Ernest? Same thing. Characters like that. That would be really interesting, like, really interesting thought
Hey
experiments.
guys, welcome to Akaban. I've already detected you.
I think you'd like it more if characters would need to have more of a trade-off in order to counter something. Arendi either gets a Trail of Fire on Nullify, which is meh anyway, or she 100% counters Pebbles. Would be cooler if she had to choose to have 15% more damage or be a hard counter.
Let's find that psycho, shall we?
I have heard, I haven't tested her yet, but I have heard that, Fire Walk with Me is actually pretty decent in terms of DPS increase. Like, assuming that you get, a puddle, especially if you get a puddle under them, like, if they're standing in it. So if you end up being way too deep, like, or if you get pulled in as Arendi and then you Fire Walk with Me out, and then the enemy is, like, standing in it, like, say they had a whiskey in front of their Galt when you got pulled in, and then the whiskey's just aiming down sights, shooting, and he's just standing in it. It's obviously super conditional, but it works for, like, minions and things, too. They don't move out of the way, they'll just stand in the puddle, much like Thorn and some other characters. Like, you just throw the puddle down, let them stand in it. Mike, right? Let's do the quick melees. Like, I'll just be able to see how long that counter on screen is. It'll be way easier than measuring Atticus. And just so people can see, Andy can use it in every direction. You can 360 that stuff to just change your direction, like, immediately. Like, it is a complete redirect. You can completely change the direction that you're facing. Q and M1? Oh, M1 counted first. Hang on. There we go. That should let me see how long that takes. I have a feeling that this basically has like a 1/10 of a second cooldown before you can start M1ing again. Like, it looks like she starts it even while she's cloaked. And I don't think her decloak happens, I'll test this later, until after the damage procs on the attack. So, like, she starts her swing and it doesn't actually decloak her. That time it did. So it may be something that's just a part of, like, cloaking immediately and firing. Okay, I think we've tested everything. Okay, doesn't seem that strong on paper. 210 damage over 5 seconds. Maybe the puddles you can overlap them. If you get no movement out of it, so if you use it against a wall, I'll actually show you whenever we go in with Arendi. We're on El Dragon. Ooh, I did not want to do PvE, but we're in PvE, so we're gonna do PvE first on El Dragon. So they're placed at specific intervals of her skill elapsing. So if you get no movement out of it, all the puddles are overlapped with each other. Like if you do it into a wall or whatever, yeah, all of those puddles will stack, and they all have their own damage ticks.
A Rogue Magnus AI has seized control of one of their old Bliss settlements, and they've called
yeah,
us to
and
help
it's the
clear
same
it
with
out.
KU Pilgrims, for sure. I don't know Spanish, so I don't know what all of these mean. Like plancha? I don't know what that means. Alright, some of these are not in Spanish. Some of these I do know what they mean. Oscar. It's so hard.
Everyone accounted for? Good. Let's flush that bastard Magnus out of his hole. Which, by my estimates, is somewhere
The other thing I
inside
needed
the
to test,
mining
I'm pretty sure only Galilea has it, but yeah, his melee doesn't change based on if you're standing still or not. Like his level 3, I'll have to check the animation compared to this, but I'm not gonna do that right now. His clothesline's pretty long, so let's start against the wall. It's even farther than Caldarius's dash. I want to test it without running into something, so let's do it down here and then do it at an angle. I want to make sure it's not getting cancelled. Alright, we did still have space. We could move forward. What if I go deep in this nook? Yeah, that's really obvious there. That also does not have a set. The other thing I wanted to test was if I Q in an M1. That is a pretty long, like, standstill before he attacks. And then it automatically puts your camera down, so you're looking at your feet just at the end of that skill, which kind of sucks. Like, you have to manually move your mouse after you do the attack. He has a different quick melee, depending on if he's sprinting or not. Pretty quick. And his changes at level 9, I believe. Also, it doesn't seem to have a cooldown? Oh, it maybe does, unless the sprint didn't count on that. Yeah, because it has to change to that arrow. You have to see it change to the reticle. Once the reticle changes, you know I'm sprinting, and then you know it's active. So there is no cooldown on the dropkick at all. That is great to know. His does not go up, so it also resets your camera. So you can see it just like pulls my camera down. That's not me. That's the game. It's the same thing with the E where it resets your camera. So that's kind of interesting. And Caldi and Eldragon can control their dashes with left and right. Caldi's, I think, is based on camera, and Eldragon's is based on movement, I think. I have to test it again, I don't remember for sure. I always forget if it's camera or not. I think Caldi's is based on camera because it always weirded me out. It's always weird. I think that's everything for PvE, so we need to run PvP Eldragon. I think we're gonna run out of music, not gonna lie. Some of these characters take a really long time to test, just because they have so many weird interacting actions like Boulder. Like, this stream has already been going for an hour and a half, and we're like maybe a third of the way through the roster. If that. Might have to do a part 1 and a part 2 on this. I do know, I'm guessing bicycle of flesh, of meat. It's a meat bicycle. That makes sense. Because meat that, I would not have figured that out. I probably, well, I don't know. I mean, I know carne is like meat, but I think of like flesh first. I'm trying to think of the concept and not the word that everyone translates it to. Hey, we got Eldred Isaac. Never gonna see him for the rest of the match. I also need to double check who's halfway through the roster, who's number 15.
Incursion. Fight your way through waves of minions and defeat the enemy's sentries. Escort minions to enemy sentries to strip away their shields and leave them vulnerable to attack. Destroy the enemy's final sentry.
The jiggle on his arms kind of bothers me. Let's quick melee. Oh, I didn't want Q. Well, I'm gonna have to fix my queue.
It's the beginning of the end in
So
3,
far.
2, 1. Fight. Minion fabrication initialized. Get ready. A wave of minions has been deployed.
I should just do the skills at the beginning of the match, because they cool down basically instantaneously when you're pre-match. Confetti is great. Oh, that's a really... if you can get the... Oh my god, if you can get the muscle memory of that right, you could technically like serpentine across the map. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's great. We're done with Elder Goat, I think. Next up is Ernest. I don't know if I typed that one out properly. Couldn't see it. We'll find out in a second. Oh, I did get it. It was fun to watch a slowed down Elder Goat and try to get away using leg kicks. Absolutely. We were on Ernest.
Let's get it done.
Ernest should be pretty easy to test. I don't think he has any weird mechanics. One thing I forgot to check on Caldarius was if he has a different reload, since we know Kid Ultra has a weird reload depending on if it's like however many. I did it on Beatrix at a test, and I would like to do one on Ernest. I forgot to do it on Caldarius. I love his tail feathers so much. They're so pretty. I also like this one because it's just called Parakeet. I love parakeets. I don't like the color of the skin particularly. It's not even really a parakeet color, but like their parakeet greens are so much more vibrant.
Incursion. Fight your way
Okay,
through waves
let's
of
do this in the
minions
corner
and
because I feel like it.
enemy sentries. Escort minions to enemy sentries to strip away their shields and
I
leave
forgot that
them
he reloads
vulnerable
two at a
attack.
time.
Destroy the enemy's final sentry to achieve victory.
I like the smoke. I never realized he had that smoke on reload. I wonder if that's a special effect that I've just always had turned off when I used to play.
Begin.
And you can do that, it looks like on frame 1. Same as Benedict.
Prepare for assault.
Oh, and his is so much easier to do because you can track the, That was a little slow. Like, his is so much easier to get close to the, So you can just watch them enter the magazine and that's about the time. A lot harder to do on Benedict. Alright, I forgot to do my skills first again. Wow, there's like no idle animation at all. It just sits there. That's really kind of creepy. I'll have to make sure I'm not inside that for attack speed stuff. I'll put the egg off to the side for the next one. Get out of the buff.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, he doesn't have a spin or a sprint.
This'll put a spurring in your step.
Get out of that so I don't get any bonuses from that. He literally is just like frozen. Doesn't do anything. That's as far as you can place the egg, by the way. I think that's... yeah, basically the range of the egg. It basically puts you at the ring and you get a little bit extra. You get like 2 steps. We'll also try the M1 after... see how fast the cooldown on that is. And his right click is just that. It's the cooldown on his right click.
Enemies are attacking
I'll do a cooldown on Q as well. I'll do this moving backwards so I won't be in range of it when it activates. No, that wasn't great. I need to do M1 instead of quick.
Enemies have engaged with Thrall mercenaries.
I need to have my fingers ready because this is awkward for my fingers. FEB. Start.
Enemies have engaged
here.
the mercenary camp.
Oh, I did it wrong again. Did R2 M2 instead of M1. Hate my life. Button combos are not my forte. I don't play fighting games for a reason.
Allies are attacking a Thrall mercenary camp. Minions have engaged a sentry and require assistance. Thrall mercenaries contracted by the enemy.
That's how fast he can fire it off. That was much better. Alright, I think that's everything for Ernest. Launch into me. Ernest wasn't too bad. I didn't check. I kinda did, just by holding it down. Yeah, I need to go back and do a manual reload on Calvarius. It's the ibis. Do 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 do. It's the ibis. Do 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 do. I really like this skin. This is, I think, an Oscar Mike skin. I think it looks really nice. I love that gray on him. The red and the dark gray. I think they look really good on him. And his zipper's all shiny and pretty. It looks like kind of brassy. Very pretty. Oh.
Supercharge. Earn.
Oops. The algorithm, right? I probably didn't wait long enough to launch the game. I didn't even look up in the thing, I didn't even realize. And I didn't get the loading screen either. This might be the last one I do. I'll take a break. I also want to make sure that the recording doesn't get too long.
Got a big problem. A rogue Magnus AI has seized control of one of their old Bliss settlements, and they've called us to help clear it out.
Nothing we can't handle. Apropos of nothing. Did the UPR mention a
I broke my loading spree. I'm messing that up. Now we get to see all the Ernest skins. The Joker skin and the Bunting, like, this skin looks crazy on him. That, like, hot pink purple. Like, hot magenta. I don't know any characters that honestly look good in either of these two Magnus Pack skins. I've already told y'all some of the, like, McDonald's skins I like. Like, this actually isn't bad. This McDonald's skin on him, not bad. I actually really like the way the tail feathers have a little bit of orange in them. Like, the red and white with a little bit of orange on the tip. Might be able to do one or two more.
On me.
Nova's sensors pinpoint the Magnus somewhere in the facility. Take a look around.
Yes, but be careful. We've hunted one or two rogue
It'd be really
AIs
interesting
in our
if
time, and
you
none of
can
them
tell
quietly.
distances with Ernest's grenade launcher. So like on a flat surface, is it 10 and 20 meters? Is that what those marks are? So like that landed at like 10 meters. Is that 10 meters there? And then it'd have to probably go a little bit farther to land it on the rail. There, is that 20 meters? It went over. So it's shooting over. So I don't think we can get 20 meters here. Oh, that one went a little bit short. Alright, let's do the regular testing. Sorry. I got distracted. I've always wanted to know if the drop-off markers in his screen actually mean anything. Like, they're helpful to queue in a match. You just get used to it in that match. A little slow. It's way slow. I'm getting, you can tell I'm getting tired. Yeah, I'm way too tired. Just down here. It's got like no cooldown. Ernest is either farsights or wants to look cool since he's often squeezing his... Oh, farsighted. Yeah, he does squint a little bit. I never realized that, I guess. Like, I always just thought it was, like, how he held his eyes, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Pow. How about a boot? Yeah. Pow. Explosive charge out.
Yeah, feels like Ernest doesn't have any cooldown at all. After Ernest is Galaxia. So let's count really quick. 1, 2, 7, 8, 15. If I got all the way to KU, maybe I can push myself. Let's just get to KU. Otherwise, 1, 2, 3. And Ernest is basically 10. I could do 3 sessions, and I might do that just to make sure that the like I said, I want to make sure the recording stays good. With such a long recording, I don't want any errors to have to make me do all the work again. So I'm gonna end the stream here. I might do a couple of boss matches in a few minutes just to kind of like wake myself up again. And we'll do like a normal stream. So I'll see y'all then.